Hey, what's up, YouTube? JayDub here. Before I get started with this video, I'd just like to ask anybody who's watching right now and isn't subscribed to go ahead and click that yellow button over there. Thanks. As for all of my subscribers, I'd like to thank all 1,066 of you. And yeah, this video is going to talk a little bit about SmackDown, but to start things off, I have a very special request for everybody watching this video. I want everybody watching right now to give your opinion on Triple H. And if you hate Triple H, I want to know why. I want you to type into the comment section below why you hate Triple H. I say this because I'm planning a very special video because I think Triple H gets a lot more flack than he deserves. Like, he made his big return and the people, are beating the presses, going real hard on him and everything. And yeah, I want to make a video to dispel some of these things, cut him at the knee, cut him down. And yeah, I especially want to know, if you hate Triple H, why? Simple request, just type it down in the comment section below. This all came up because Jim Cornette, on his website, he recently, somebody asked him who was the most overrated wrestler, and lo and behold, he gives his answer is Triple H, who was the son-in-law of the man that he's probably hates more than the devil himself. But yeah, Jim Cornette, he's an old, bitter man. Like, there's no reason for him to be that fucking bitter, because on his website, he calls himself the most opinionated man in the wrestling business, or whatever you want to call it. Jim Cornette is irrelevant. He has no and if you think otherwise, let me know that also. How is Jim Cornette even relevant in wrestling anymore? Whatever he did in the past, clap, clap, clap for him, kudos. But right as of right now, he's irrelevant. Of course, he works for TNA. He's on their payroll, but he has a figurehead position in TNA. And for that position to be written as irrelevant also, that just shows how much he completely sucks. Because Jeff Jarrett, Mick Foley have on-screen management roles also, and since Jim Cornette wants to talk about things being at the bottom of the totem pole, when it comes to the management team in TNA, he's at the bottom of the totem pole. And going back to that, that whole bottom of the totem pole thing originated because he says ECW is the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to WWE. When you put things into perspective, ECW is the only WWE brand that TNA competes with on a viewership level. So if that's the bottom of the totem pole, what are you saying for the place that you work? What are you saying for TNA? You're saying ECW sucks and it's in the pits. Doesn't that mean the same for TNA? I mean, ECW and TNA, they go back and forth when it comes to viewers. So yeah, that's not saying too much about your company. And speaking of saying too much about your company, out of all the times that I've read his website, I don't think there's one time at all that I've seen any reference whatsoever to TNA. Now, there may have been references to TNA, but I'm just saying, from my personal experience, I've never seen him say anything about TNA. That could, and that could be why he keeps his title of most opinionated man in wrestling, because I think there's a lot of things that need to be said about TNA. He gets on there and he bashes WWE, he bashes the competition, but he doesn't say a damn thing about TNA at all. It's easy to say why the competition is bad, but when it turns around to why you are good, he doesn't have anything to say. And that's a lot of things, WWE fans, they do that also, but it's mostly prevalent in the TNA wrestling fans community. You will say time and time again why WWE sucks and this and that, and why WWE is horrible. You spend more time talking about WWE is horrible than you do spending time talking about why TNA is great. But yeah, Jim Cornette, he needs to shut the hell up because he's not relevant whatsoever. And yeah, and I'm just gonna say, in his commentary, he says he wishes, he says Triple H is boring and his promos last too long, and he wishes he would get hit in the face with his sledgehammer, every time he hears Triple H talk. That'll be the only thing that I agree with him, and I wish he would get hit in the fucking head with a sledgehammer also. Maybe that'll knock some sense into him. But Yeah, moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown was a very good. It was a very good episode tonight. Of course, same problems I had with last week's episode. They were the same problems with this week's episode, like the Divas match. Once again, the bar is set so low when it comes to Divas matches. I never expect a good Divas match. I've come to the point where I expect botches and everything. In this match, it was booked the right way because it was Layla and Michelle versus Melina and Eve. It was booked the right way, but I think there were too many botches to make this match a good match, and Layla and Michelle McCool end up winning. Dolph Ziggler ends up defeating the great Khali by a countout, and what killed me about this is the referee, like Dolph Ziggler, he goes outside the ring, he's calling Khali outside the ring, and the ref is counting, like, when Khali finally comes out there, 1, 2, 3, he's doing a slow count and everything, so he gets to, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then Dolph Ziggler runs into the ring, and then while the great Khali is out there, he's like 8, 9, 10, ring the bell, and the match is fucking over. And that was like the fastest count ever. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler, he wins the match. At least he won, even if it was by count out. Third match of the night: R-Truth, John Morrison versus Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. These are probably the four. Like, I know they're up there, but they're up there if they are not the top four most athletic and agile guys in all of WWE. So you knew this was going to be a good match, and it ended up being a good match. R-Truth and John Morrison defeating Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. They aren't technically the world's greatest tag team because why don't you just put them in a fucking team together? You're not doing anything with either one of them, and I guess you want to play us for stupid, let's just put them in a team with each other because, let's just put them in random tag matches with each other so it could seem like we care about tag team wrestling because they're used to these guys being an actual team, but they're not going to be an actual team. We're just going to, throw them together and try to fool everybody. Well, yeah, you're not fooling me. Fourth match of the night was another, just like last week, they had the World Heavyweight Champion versus the Intercontinental Champion, but this time, they had the same exact match, but it was two different people. CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. CM Punk ends up defeating Chris Jericho. Edge versus Jeff Hardy, which was a very good match. It was a pretty long match also, but that's, that makes it all the more better to determine who's going to face CM Punk on this upcoming episode of Raw, which will be a 3-hour episode of Raw. So remember that it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I know a lot of people tend to forget that. Don't forget it, 8 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, this was a very good match. It was going to determine who will face CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship, on Raw. But the match ended, I guess, a no contest because Edge and Jeff Hardy will face CM Punk for the Heavyweight Championship. And to end this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about CM Punk possibly turning heel. I think it would be a good idea for CM Punk to turn heel. So that's the second question I want you guys to answer. Would it be, would you like to see CM Punk turn heel? Because I know a lot of fans, like the people that know CM Punk before he came to WWE, like I didn't know CM Punk at all before he came to WWE. They say his character wasn't meant to be a face. They were just doing that for the fans to have somebody else to cheer for. But yeah, I could see how they could go about CM Punk turning into a heel because, if he were to feud with Jeff Hardy, we know Jeff Hardy has had his problems with substance abuse and everything, and we know he's not one to shy away from including his personal life into WWE storylines. So CM Punk, being the straight edge superstar that he is, he could totally just bash Jeff Hardy on something like that, like saying, I made the choice that you didn't, and these fans cheer for you, these kids cheer for you, but you're not a real role model, and yeah, just stuff like that. So yeah, one, what's your opinion on Triple H, and if you hate him, I want to know why. Two, do you see CM Punk being a heel, and how do you think that will go? So yeah, that's where I'm going to end this video, and make sure you comment, rate, favorite, all that good stuff. Peace out.